Who else is going to tell you these things? Has anyone else told anybody doing anything creative these things before? They're like, oh, dude, it's just hard work. You're going to work hard like me. I'm just that guy. I work just that hard. It's not about that. All the routines from these celebrities, that stuff is a lie. That's it's meant to demoralize you, to make you feel like you're lazy and worthless. Oh, the reason why these guys got where they are right now, it's not anything weird. No. It's because they work that much harder than you. That's why they make the... Yeah, right. Oh, yeah. Oh, really? Is that right? Is that right? Is that right? Oh, really? Oh, is that right? Sure. You know, sometimes people give bad advice, and I've done my best not to give bad advice. A little masterclass in effective note-taking in how to deal with being overwhelmed, and some steps you can take to avoid just collecting without a system or an awareness of actually getting something to the next stage of release. There's two different kinds of experience you have here when you're trying to do creative stuff. There's the experience of the accumulation of confidence to your ideas being worthy in the first place. And even if they're not worthy, I guess you're not going to feel worthy at the beginning, but you need to capture them, whether it be pen and paper or you have some sort of a digital system. You need to be aware that you can put yourself under by not even starting. It took me a long time to be confident of things. It takes most people a long time. Some people it doesn't, I don't know. But it's work, and it's diligence, and it's discipline. And I don't mean to put out sweating words, because it doesn't have to exactly be that way. It's, I guess, joy. It's important that you collect. There are bottlenecks within your workflow that if you're not really familiar with yourself, know thyself, and know the bottlenecks that exist within your own mind, and the bottlenecks that can be created by being either underwhelmed by material or overwhelmed. You have to really know how you work. It's understated. And you can't be put underwater by having an overwhelming mine. A lot of things that you do mine or allow yourself to catch that bubble up, that you don't just allow to disappear. It's pretty easy to get overwhelmed by so many things, and you pretty much lose your mind. Because if you're working with a lot, you really need to have a pipeline or a system to actually get things done, and not just be a professional idea, an ideas man whose ideas are never used. That's not ideal. To be an ideas man is good, but to sit on all of the ideas, that's not the best. It requires that you have the diligence in keeping yourself open, the experience of being confident, in order that you even deem worthy the ideas that bubble up for you to catch. It's pretty vital. But being prolific and having yourself open to capturing your ideas and actually capturing them, that is experience and a muscle and a habit, and it takes practice. Because if you're a writer, you write however many pages a day, or you write however many hours a day. There's a system for things that are kind of more advanced than just capturing ideas. But if you don't start, say if you work with just free writing straight up, so be it. I'm just giving you a little bit of a glimpse inside the cube. But just remember, confidence and diligence and openness to the worth of your own ideas, in order that you even begin collecting them at all, is just vital. But if you have thousands and thousands and thousands of ideas that are from another dimension, and that you can't, not many people can make up, let me just put it that way. You need to have a system of organization so that you can recall them in the future without having to wade through freaking 10, 20,000 things. It's just not possible. So if you're beginning to do these things, it's good to have your mind on future recall and organization. I know this seems silly, but if you don't have things organized, you cannot get back to them in the future. And I've spent loads of time reviewing and tagging things years after they were written. And it's like a time machine. So a lot of things can bring you back. So it's good to revisit, but when you're trying to search for things, it's not possible. It also, the more you think about levels of organization, which you could call tags. People like to do notebooks. I'm not a notebook guy, I'm a tag guy. So categories of whatever sort of energy is imbued in the idea. So if something is funny, then you can tag it funny. Like, let's say if something is a quote or a line, if something is funny or violent or has an element of sex in it, these things need to be recorded. If you need something that has sex and animals and funny all mixed together, you can search those tags and have all of your things at your fingertips. It's pretty easy for me. I can do that right now and have 500 things ready to blast out for you right now. I have everything tagged. As you have an inbox, because you're not going to sit there and do your organization if you're driving in a car or you're out with people or whatever. You write down the note, you sort of have it in your inbox. Then when it's time to review those things, it's sort of like task management thing. It's kind of like, like getting things done or like an OmniFocus or something like that, It's essential that you can record something and worry about it later. And then when you're working, you can get to it. You can classify it with those levels of organization, those tags. And then you can put it somewhere else, whether it's in a giant notebook of just elements of things that aren't fleshed out, or if you have a notebook of sketches, if you know an idea in your head is formulated enough to where it has like a premise and a build-up and a punchline or something like that, however you define something that could go past just an element, you have your sketches. If you have something that's a funny situation, that could be a sketch, that maybe is a situation for inside of a sketch, I call them adult situations. Things need tags, and they need to be in a notebook that is appropriate for where it could go. Now, if you've got a project, you could make a notebook or a folder or some sort of a container for a project, because a situation that is designed specifically for a certain writing project can be recalled elsewhere for something else if that project either goes nowhere or it's not ready yet. That's why it's so important to be inside of a tag world, so nothing gets hidden from you when you're trying to recall things from the future. If I'll tag things, an adult situation and a sketch, if I think it should be recalled. I like a notebook of sketches that I think could possibly be developed, so I put them in there. Something that is specifically a situation that is funny, I'll put it in the situations, but if something could have a bigger payoff than just the situation itself, then I'll have it in a sketches folder, whatever you want to call it. If you don't have a system, you have nothing, and then you'll be in an endless ocean of ideas. Then what do you do? What do you scroll through a couple thousand things? That's not easy. And whatever software you're using, you can sort of stack the tags and make a focused search. Things like I was saying before, things that are sort of have an element of sex to them and animals and that are funny. And then you have that ready for you if you want to get that way with animals. It's essential. Otherwise, what do you search? What do you search? Dog? You search dog in your notes? It's going to come up with nothing. They're two different things. You have a database. You have a database for ideas that you've created, and you have a separate database for things that are accumulated from other sources. It's just a good idea to do that. So when you see things, because you know how the internet disappears now? So if you see images, or let's say Twitter threads, or websites that are good, of course you could bookmark them and then they disappear. You go to the Wayback Machine, it's gone from there too. Or you save them as a PDF or a web archive. You have them in a database that you classify with your tags, have it a little bit removed from the things that you've created. It's good to have unique visual style. If you want to build a set, or you want to light scenes, or a style of editing, whether it's framing or motion or timing, it's good to have references that aren't just words that you write down. Now you know. Now if you're interested in creation, then you have better tools to actually get things recorded properly, and more importantly, recalled. Let's just be here where we're at right now. It's important that you have that system It's important that you have that system, otherwise you're up the creek.